All right, we got another Learn Massive X with me today. We're going to go through another one of the plugins that comes with Massive X. The one we're going to do today is Cloudbreaker, which can be found in, once again, the best of category. Cloudbreaker is right there. So we have that open, and it sounds like this. So really cool pad texture there. So let's go through it here. So I think today I'll try going through the modulation first, just so we don't have to keep jumping back up and down. So no, it doesn't look like there's any patterns. There is an envelope, so let's make sure we get the amplitude envelope all set up. So we have 1.36 seconds. Got that. And then we have no delay, the shape's the same, peak's good, hold. Shape, sustain, decay. So the release is a little bit longer. The release is at 11.9 seconds. It's quite a bit longer, actually. Okay, so let's just hear what that did to the sound. I lost my Windows for some silly reason. That was kind of dumb. All right. So that's where we're at. And then envelope 2, let's get that set up. So it looks like the shape of the attack is turned down to 48.1%. Cool. There's no delay. The attack is slowed down to 4.37 seconds, so really long attack on this guy. The shape of the decay and the sustain level of the decay is, there's basically, it just dips right out. And then this decay is quite long. 14.3 seconds. And then the release is also fairly long at 24 seconds. Jeez. And that is, I believe, it for this panel right here. Moving on to the LFOs, we have 3 LFOs, it looks like. We will change, so we have 2 random LFOs, and then a switcher. Let's see. So here it has audio noise flipped on, which let's look what that is. Okay, so it says the random LFO can also be used as a generator by activating the audio noise button. Assigning the LFO to a modulation source via the routing page enables you to use the LFO as a noise source in the audio signal path. For more information. Okay, so it kind of looks like we can actually use it as like almost like an oscillator. So let's see. It doesn't look like they use it though. from the routing. So I'm not sure what that is doing in this case. Random LFO can also be used as a generator by activating the audio noise. So I don't know exactly what that's doing in this case, because to me it doesn't look like it's using it as an oscillator. I'm not even really sure. It sounds like you can drag L4 down to mod 1 and have that control something, but is there anything else on audio noise here? Okay, so there is one other thing. So the random LFO can be used as a generator by activating the audio noise button. Assigning the LFO to a modulation source via the routing page enables you to use the LFO as a noise source. Okay, so we're not using it as a noise source. But when activated, the LFO operates in audio rate. This turns the LFO into a noise generator when assigned to a modulation source in the routing and can be used in the audio signal path. Not really sure how that's affecting anything, even based after that description. So it looks like this makes it operate at audio rate. So maybe it just makes it operate faster? I'm not really sure. But we're going to keep moving on. This is, and it's in the bi instead of the una. 3.56 for the rate. It's free, loops, it's MIDI, it's not mono. Since I haven't looked it up, what is mono on the LFO? No surprise that there's a million mono references here. Somewhere in here. There we go. Well, this is specifically mono for the envelope, but hopefully that'll apply to the... It says, when activated, all incoming notes receive the same envelope shape, regardless of pitch. And it's the same there. So when deactivated, the LFO is polyphonic. Each incoming receives its own LFO when okay, so basically just mono here causes them to respond to the LFO, all voices being played at the same time to the same part of the LFO, so they're not each on their own part of this LFO. So when I play this, and the second note, the two notes are operating on different LFOs in this case, it looks like. We have the amp jitter at 85%. Which I would imagine that just affects randomly, like dips the signal. Okay, adjust the amount of random modulation applied to the amplitude of the signal. Turn fully left. The basic waveform of the LFO is unaltered. Turning the knob to the right increases the amount of unpredictable values. When turned fully right, a completely random value is produced with each cycle. Okay. So seems like it affects how much the amplitude of the signal is modified by the random generator. Oh, and it's modifying the waveform of the LFO too. And then frequency jitter, I have to imagine okay. So it seems like it's kind of the same thing. Instead of amplitude up and down, it's frequency left and, or like how fast the waveform is like squeezed and stretched out. So just applies some randomness to that. So the frequency, oh, I did that on the wrong one. Oh no, I didn't. Okay, so frequency jitter is 55.9. And then the threshold. So it only has an effect if the amp jitter is turned up. Random values below set threshold are forced to 0. Okay, so it's just basically like a gate, right? Anything below the threshold just gets completely removed. Okay, so that one's done, finally. And then LFO 5, we have the rate turned down to 74.74, rather. And then not audio rate, and we have 45.9. 45.9. 64.7 for the frequency jitter. And the threshold, kind of the same thing again, 25.6. Cool. And then this all looks good. Lastly, we have the switcher LFO. It looks like it's using I think this is a triangle wave. And the rate is very slow, almost all the way down, it looks like. It's free. Each voice has its own LFO track that it's operating on. And that's it. Okay, so that's done. And then we have one more thing down here in the panel. And that's this. So the tracker, this will be fun to draw. It's note pitch, so right around whatever this is, looks like E2. Yeah. And then it ramps up at B flat 4, and it's unidirectional, not bidirectional, so it'll only push it up, not push it down. And I think that's it. So we have all of our modulators set up. Let's take and pop those in. So E2 is used here and here. So it's used on the pitch. Actually, you know what? Let's go left to right. Let's just do it that way. So the glide time is set to 11.2 seconds, but the glide's not turned on, so I'm not really sure what that's doing. Moving on, we are using the Shone and the Pladep, so they're both in the effects one. Cool. Okay, and the volume, we're at 41 and 11. Ooh. That's pretty interesting. And then we're going to take LFO 6, and we're going to put it here and turn it all the way up. So that's this guy right here. Just moving through the different waves of the wavetable. We have a modulator or a macro on here, directly connected. The pulse modulation is at nothing. Sorry, key track 0. I don't even know if this is really doing anything, but it does have the aux at 50% and the pulse modulation all the way up. I really don't know, like, if this is really even doing anything when these aren't toggled on. This video is going to get too long if I look into absolutely everything, so we're gonna just keep going here. And then we're changing. It looks like this controls what the knobs will be. So it looks like when we change this, it's random. Yeah, that appears to control this. So it must be doing some kind of modulation to this thing. And that's at 53.8. And the jitter's at 20.3. And if it matters, this is a sine wave. And this is an octave down. Already kind of an interesting sound. Noise is all the way up. But there is an LFO that is affecting that volume. Doesn't seem like it's doing anything, but the wave, ooh, it's in friction, the wave or the noise type. Yeah, that's pretty cool. The LFO has turned up the pitch just a little bit. And the mod wheel controls the pitch. The second noise oscillator is affected by the envelope. So it starts all the way down, but the envelope turns it up over time. The pitch, and then it's just slightly mixes it in, and the same with the mod wheel. So that's with the mod wheel all the way up. Some interesting textures already. Okay, so then we have a comb filter, and the feedback is all the way up. There you go. We add the... So this turns it down, it looks like. And by default, it's just... And then the frequency is like right here. And 3 just directly controls that. And the aftertouch, which I don't think my keyboard has. I should probably know that. And this is here. So I believe these are just like connected, so we can just change it right here. So without the comb filter. Alright, we have a couple utilities here. So this one has a low pass filter. That's set super high, so it's, I guess, just cutting out some airiness. Don't hear a lot of difference there. I don't even know what this is doing, but it doesn't have anything added. So let's just see. Well, it clearly does something. Jeez. Just distorting the crap out of the signal. And we have a ring mod. Whatever this does. Some kind of ratio thing. Wow. And that is just there. Mix all the way down. Thank God. That was not a pleasant sound. And that is it for that panel. Moving on, we have key tracking on the amplitude of the signal so far. It's not doing much. So the higher we go, the louder it gets, I think. So I don't think the signal is... Oh no, the higher we go, the quieter it gets. It's inversely related. And then this goes here. And that's set to 0. We have a reverb. So let's add reverb. And it is whatever this wave algorithm is. Sends all the way up. Mixes all the way up. Mix is controlled by macro 6. Size is slightly turned up. Macro 7 controls that. The color, which I'm assuming just affects, like, it's like an EQ of sorts. And then it looks like it has like a chorus effect on there. So this is very loud. I don't know if we're compensating for that loudness anywhere eventually. I'm gonna turn both these down. Okay. Whatever this thing, NLL, nonlinear lab. I don't know what that is. Just affects the drive in the mix. So the mix by default is all the way down, and the 8 can turn it up. Some kind of high pass before it goes into it, high pass pre, high pass post, and then compression, and then it's got some kind of whatever this is. And then we have a dimension expander. Ooh. Not really sure what that's doing to it. Alright, I think that's it up there. Now, we should just need to do... Well, let's look at the voices quick. Legato, poly... Okay, so there doesn't really look like there's anything there. So the last thing is the routing. And the routing is different, which makes sense because we don't sound quite like this yet. We got feels close-ish, but still has some work. So let's get rid of all of these connections. Should be like a right click, remove all connections. Alright, so let's just get this kind of laid out like it is in there. It'll be just easier to track. So noise is going into the comb filter. Noise 1 is the only thing. And then the comb filter... Oh, the utility is going into the comb filter. So the second noise goes through the utility before it goes into the comb filter. I think that's a little confusing, so I'm going to do that. I don't... Oh. So I don't know how this feedback thing works really, but there is like a in and out. So I'm assuming it allows you to, just obviously route it back around. So I don't know what the difference is between just routing it here and just routing it straight to the reverb. But we're going to just follow along. So that goes there. The ring mod only the noise is affected by the ring mod, not the actual oscillators. And then there's one more utility, so this goes there, and the utility goes to the reverb as well. This PM aux is not being used, which makes me wonder why it's even there. And I think the comb filter goes directly to the NL Lab 2. So it's kind of getting affected through the reverb and then also directly. And then I think we have everything. at that point. So let's just... Yep. Sounds extremely close. So yeah, there you have it. I'm just curious. I want to see for the routing what that feedback exactly is doing. Routing panel. This is going to take too long. Let's go back up to the top to the routing page overview. There we go. Let's look for specific. Okay. So, this way you can create polyphonic feedback loop around modules to add chaotic and nonlinear behavior. Let's go down to here. Okay. So the feedback loop in the polyphonic area of the routing facilitates the connection from an output of the module to its input. Any number of modules can be chained in the feedback loop. This way you... Okay. This way you can add chaotic and nonlinear... Feedback loop is also useful for physical modeling sounds. So feedback loop is polyphonic, so okay. So this one is the feedback loop output. This bus features a single output that receives signals from the feedback loop input. It can be connected to generators, processor buses. So in the example above, the output of the Asimov filter is connected to, and the input of the filter is connected to the feedback input, and the feedback output is connected to the input of the Asimov filter. This creates a feedback loop around the filter, making it sound distorted and behaving in. Okay, so I think it just kind of sends the signal back into the Asimov filter that's coming out of it, and that's pretty much it. So here I don't think it's doing anything. I think you could just route it straight to the reverb and it would have the exact same effect. In fact, let's just try that and see if it has any effect whatsoever. It does sound like a little bit more metallic. I don't know why that would be the case. Let's just try routing it back one more time. Get rid of you. It has to be doing something because before it felt more like it had a little bit more of a like metallic feel to it when it was routed directly to the reverb. So might have to look at that at some point and see what exactly is controlling that feedback loop. I don't know if it's this right here. That would seem to make sense. But who knows? Anyway, hopefully you learned something. I think I did. I definitely learned something. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.